Intel has delayed its 7nm chipset until 2022. Hello everyone and welcome to another video, and today we are going to be talking about something really interesting from the blue team, more like Intel team. Since when you hear about Intel is usually like, oh, it's the gaming, it's to go for everything, gaming, normal use. So because Intel chipsets are usually the best, for the past few years they haven't been the best, since AMD's Zen processor has taken over many of their chipsets in price, performance, power. I mean, basically in everything, even in the chipsets, which what we're gonna be talking about, since Intel keeps on delaying every single chipset that they decide to do it, but then they delay it for some stupid reasons. Now this one reason is a little bit different, since the company's chief engineering officer is leaving the company. So that could be a bad sign for Intel and a good sign for Intel. I don't know, since we don't know any information, any update who will be coming for his replacement. But what we can tell you, what I can tell you, is that they have definitely moved back a few years from AMD, and AMD has finally got their lead on Intel with the chipsets, CPU, more like, or processor you want to call it, and they are doing a very great job, while Intel is just struggling to give their best to consumers, which brings a very bad thing for Intel, because their sales, their marketing, everything has just went down. Their performance also went down. Their prices are high for whatever they're giving. They're still selling 14 nanometers in their 10th gen i9 processors. They're still 14 nanometer chipsets, which is a bad part about Intel. So one of the news articles that I read was BBC News, and technically it says Intel has delayed its 7nm chipset until 2022. So that's 2 years still, technically 1.5 few months, but that's still a very, very important thing that Intel should have taken really strongly about, since 7nm were announced by AMD quite a while ago, but Intel had some issues with the 7nm chipset, so they technically just delayed it 2 years from today. But in some other news I saw that it shows in the Tom hardware that it might be delayed till 2023, since maybe their CPUs are just not doing very well. We are still looking at 14 nanometers today with the 10 Gen 99, which is pretty much stupid, since you're paying like $700 for the best one, I believe, and you're still getting 14 nanometer chipsets. Then you have AMD on the other side for the same price or even less. You can get the 3950X with 16 cores with 7nm chipset, so with a better performance per dollar. It's just best at every single thing, and that's where Intel has just lost it for the past few years. Intel's been struggling for the past few years because they announced that they will be, they announced in 2016, 2015ish, that they will be making 10 nanometer. That never happened. Then they also announced that they will be making 7nm chipsets, which were supposed to come out this year, but apparently they had some issues with the Intel chipsets with 7 nanometer testing, and they technically just freaking left it off. And then we are here still talking about Intel's losses on how they lost their lead over AMD. Technically, gaming wise, I'm still saying that Intel is doing pretty well on that, but at the end of the day, you're paying super too much for a chipset that's pretty old, and they're still doing the same mistakes on the new chipsets they're going to be making, and they have delayed on every single chipset, which is 10 nanometer and also 7 nanometers. We have even freaking RTX coming out with 8 nanometer chipsets. We have Intel with 14 nanometer chipsets. We have AMD making 7 nanometer chipsets, and AMD is also planning on making it 5 nanometer chipset. So technically, AMD is taking over everything in the CPU industry, since Intel has no plan of coming back. Technically, that looks like that. So this is a bad news for Intel, and Intel's just lost it this time, and AMD is finally up. And I am happy to say that you should not buy Intel chipsets anymore, since Ryzen is overall the best choice right now. Performance per dollar, you got lower temperatures, you know, higher boosts, you got higher voltage per core. So you are looking into every single thing is like best about AMD. Well, that I cannot say about Intel. So at the end of the day, Intel's just wondering and stuck in the whole loop of 14 nanometers, and everything else is just processing as it should be. Everyone is leading the market, and Intel's just sitting there and watching the show. So that's what's happening for the next 2 years, because they delayed it until 2020 and 2023. So at the end of the day, I am gonna say go buy the AMD processors using the link in the description below. I will put it out for my Amazon link, and I hope you guys buy it using that, since that will help us out a whole lot. And also, if you haven't been subscribed, subscribe, like the video if you liked it. Also, press the bell button so you know, and you will get notified for our upcoming news and everything, since I got a lot of news to tell you guys this week. So I'm gonna be telling a lot of news, so you gotta be pressing that button. All right, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.